Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining me as we continue this critical investigation today. I know you have all been waiting incredibly patiently for a breakthrough in the Lynette Hooker case, desperately wanting to see the person responsible finally face the consequences of their actions. Let us be completely honest with you right from the start. There are no sensationalized headlines or fabricated updates here. Instead, we have facts. We have spent hours analyzing every single piece of evidence the Coast Guard recovered from that boat and comparing it directly to the story Brian told. When we put them together, the final realization shook the entire investigation. And it will likely leave you completely speechless because the evidence points to the terrifying reality of what Brian did. To expose this fully, we need your focus, your time, and your thoughts on these findings as we lay them out. If you really want justice for Lynette, give us just 10 minutes of your time to examine these staggering contradictions that might prove his guilt. Thank you for being here. Please make sure you are subscribed to follow this case, and let us begin. We're going straight into the official records now. Let us look closely at the case file, because what investigators discovered is enough to make your blood run cold. Between April 10th and April 13th, while detectives were actively investigating the disappearance of Lynette Hooker, the tracking system on the Soulmate yacht went completely silent 3 separate times. Think about that. Your wife has vanished in the ocean. The police are searching your boat for clues, and suddenly, the digital footprint of the vessel vanishes over and over again. It makes no sense. Why would anyone need to hide the movements of a boat after such a tragedy? This looks like a highly calculated and deliberate attempt to cover up the truth, right under the noses of the very officers trying to find her. But the situation gets even worse when we look back at how this nightmare actually began. Fox News Digital, using a global maritime tracking platform called Vessel Finder, pulled the official logs from the night Lynette vanished on April 4th. The records show that at exactly 9:29 p.m., the yacht tracking system suffered a massive 11-hour blackout, coming back online only at 8:40 a.m. the following morning. It is a chilling void. Think about what that actually means. For 11 hours and 11 minutes, the ocean went completely blind to this vessel. The Coast Guard had no way of knowing where it was, how fast it traveled, or what was happening out in the dark. Now, could a system like this simply glitch out on its own? Fox News Digital presented this data to Kenneth Engerand, a respected maritime law professor at the University of Houston Law Center. And his professional assessment completely shatters any excuse. He explained that these advanced tracking systems do not simply drop offline and then fix themselves. They are hardwired to the main power of the boat. Unless the vessel sank to the bottom of the ocean, which we know it did not, the only logical conclusion is that a human hand physically flipped the switch to shut the system down. Picture the sheer terror of what was being covered up during those quiet hours. We know exactly when the trap was set. Witnesses on the shore later confirmed they spotted Lynette and Brian together at the Abaco Inn restaurant, leaving in their small dinghy at 7:30 p.m. By 9:29 p.m., the tracking system on the main yacht went dead. Just 2 hours later. This suggests that the very second they stepped back on board, the main goal wasn't to sleep, but to immediately kill their digital footprint. It is a calculated, chilling timeline that leaves investigators deeply suspicious. And it leads straight to the bizarre alibi Brian handed to the police. Brian claimed that a sudden, incredibly violent storm with dangerous 3-foot waves slammed directly into their vessel. This sudden chaos, he claimed, threw Lynette straight into the pitch-black ocean. His narrative was specifically crafted to make the public feel deep sympathy for a tragic accident. But the scientific data and satellite records immediately sparked serious doubts, exposing his story as a complete lie. Official maritime weather logs from near Elbow Cay show that the ocean that night was dead calm and peaceful,
with absolutely no dangerous waves in sight. How does a husband bring himself to invent a fictional storm while his own wife is actively drowning in the sea?
But the level of deception actually runs much deeper. When federal investigators pulled GPS logs from the navigation app on Brian's phone, they uncovered a massive discrepancy. The specific coordinates he shared with local police didn't match his actual digital path. Those two locations were miles apart. It points to a shocking level of arrogance in his planning. He even claimed that Lynette accidentally dropped the dinghy's starter key overboard, killing the motor.
But their daughter, Carly Allsworth, came forward with a devastating piece of information
that shattered his entire defense. She revealed her mother never drove that dinghy, and Brian was always the only person who handled the key.
This web of lies shows a calculated effort to escape justice.
Then there was the high-end safety equipment on board that he deliberately chose to ignore. Let's look closer at the vessel itself.
This is where the objective, high-tech forensic evidence truly begins to speak.
The yacht was fitted with a highly advanced
$33,000 FLIR thermal night vision camera built to spot a body heat signature in pitch black water. Yet Brian never turned it on to search for his drowning wife. In fact, he hid its existence from the police for a whole month, until his close friend, Dan Danforth, revealed the truth to the feds in May. This silence points to a chilling, deliberate choice rather than a panicked mistake. Even more startling, journalist Ashley Banfield reported that Lynette's Apple Watch, which she wore to dinner, was never lost at sea. Federal agents found it sitting safe and dry inside the vessel's living quarters.
This critical evidence prompted federal agents to officially seize the massive yacht named Soulmate.
In Fort Lauderdale, while shipping the 8-foot hard-bottomed dinghy from the Bahamas straight to a forensic lab. Specialists are dissecting every single wire inside it right now, which leads directly to Brian's incredibly strange actions the moment he left the island. As soon as the Bahamas police released Brian, released on April 13th, he publicly claimed his only focus was finding his missing wife.
Yet, within 24 hours, he boarded a private plane, fleeing straight back to America to hire a high-powered defense lawyer named Crystal Marie Hauer.
It brings up so much anger and grief, because while a massive Coast Guard cutter,
high-tech drones, and specialized cadaver dogs were desperately scouring the open ocean for Lynette's body, Brian was spotted casually shopping at a Sierra store in suburban Michigan, completely unbothered, before traveling around California and Oregon. Then, on June 10th, confirmed sources revealed that as soon as his experienced new federal team took over, Brian went entirely silent, refusing to cooperate with federal investigators ever again. Now, a close friend has dropped a major bombshell, revealing that Brian might actually be trying to flee across the Mexican border because he knows the feds are watching. But former prosecutors Julie Rendelman and Tad DiBiase exposed the real strategy here.
Federal agents are deliberately playing a waiting game,
mapping the precise gap between those two GPS blackouts to build a solid federal indictment based on consciousness of guilt. They want to make sure that when they finally strike, there is absolutely no way out left for him. Look at all these pieces of the puzzle we have put together. Does this chilling timeline leave any doubt in your mind that Brian is the monster responsible for this? What specific piece of evidence stands out to you most, and where do you think he is hiding right now? Lynette deserved a long, safe life, but instead she was left alone in the cold, silent depths.